and welcome back to another round of F1 TS Sub. This is going to be round number 9 of the 10th championship season for F1 TS Sub. Hello everybody, my name is Alan Cavanero. I'm alongside Nick, and we are back for the 9th round of this championship. It is the Austrian Grand Prix here in Spielberg. 12 minutes start away with 15 drivers competing today. I heard we have a couple new drivers. I'm not exactly sure who they are, but if you did not if you were not able to catch last weekend's race, or last week's race in Baku, do you want to give them a little rundown, Nick?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting, man. Glad, first of all, that you're feeling better, Alan, because I know you weren't feeling well last week, so that's the main thing. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. We had a few crashes, a few moments of controversy, but we move ahead, you know. That's what it's all about, moving ahead to the next race, either building on a performance of the previous one or looking to bounce back. So that's what I'm sure all these guys will be looking at. We have 12 minutes remaining of this short qualifying session. It goes so quickly though. SBL is the new driver, Mali, as we'll call him for short. He's taking over in the McLaren Honda, so he's our only new addition, and Sophie joined us last week. So yeah, pretty exciting.
Going through all the drivers. Nice to see the F15 here today, and like you said, some new drivers, some new faces, and probably new competition that we have here. So no driver has set a time yet today, but a lot of the drivers are already going out there to go out there for their banker lap here at the Red Bull Ring. I think right now would be a good time to talk about the track facts before we begin qualifying, or at least before we begin the times getting set. So here we go, the Red Bull Ring. It was recently modified. I didn't know, but they added a 10th turn last year, apparently, according to my resources. And the fastest race lap record set there was this year a 107.4, a race time record, not a qualifying record, a 107.4.11. Lewis Hamilton and the 2017 Mercedes and W08 hybrid for EQ power. So that's sort of the time that some of the drivers would like to aim for. And then again, I remember 109s were possible here last time in the game. Obviously, the cars are faster, so you're going to expect, you know, to say faster times, but more impressive times than last year. But let's go with SBL. I mean, like you said, it's his first race. Let's see how he does in the McLaren Honda. Like you said, he took over someone's spot, but he's going to go for the final corner. Misses the apex just a little bit, but a good run off the corner. He's going to put up DRS across the line. He goes. No time. I thought he would have set one by now. I mean, the track is around a minute lap time. And if anyone doesn't know, one of the shortest tracks on the circuit, but lap time wise, it is the shortest circuit. So you're going to see very, very quick times today. Do you think anyone will reach their times into the 106s or 105s? I'm not sure about an ideal time, but there you go. Never mind. 106.8. The question now is, do you think anyone's going to dip their time into the 105s?
I definitely think so. We had a 106 was pole position for the podium tier, and of course these guys are meant to be the cream of the crop. Guys and girl, I should say, because we have Sophie alongside us. So these guys and girl are meant to be the cream of the crop, but let's see what they can do. 106.2 looks pretty impressive. 105.8, so there you go, Alan, straight away off the bat. The reason SBL, he was just on his outlap, Alan, when you were riding on board with him, so that is why when he crossed the line, no time appeared. But Sean does just behind by just 1/10 of a tenth. So those two on the front row getting pretty close indeed in terms of times. Everyone out on the ultra soft tire, so everyone feeling they like to go for the quickest. Odems is on a flying lap now. His previous one wasn't ineligible, so corner cut of course here coming into effect. Track extending is difficult. Be interested to see what these drivers can do, but it's looking almighty close. Let's have a look at some of the gaps as Odems comes into the pits. We can see that the top 9 are separated by under a second. Alan, this is going to be another close one.
So I'm sorry to interrupt there, but someone was off the track. That is D90 at the part, but D90 off the track. I'm not sure what's wrong with the Ferrari driver, but seems to be that his creative interpretation of the track is not really helping his car. I mean, the max speed he's getting is, you know, it's staying in first gear. So, might as well find a way back onto the track. I think he's just trying to get back to the pits without being in anyone's way, but never mind that. I also forgot to mention that this track is hold on a second. It is actually 2.6 miles long, or 4.3 kilometers. It's sort of surprising to see like a 1 minute lap time with these cars. I thought that's really interesting. I mean, it's like 2 miles long for me, for this customary measuring unit, or 4.3 kilometers. And it's a minute lap time. I honestly thought it would be shorter than that. But again, shows how much speed you carry through the corners here, and there's a lot of straights here as well. So a lot of passing can happen. If you're behind a car, you can get this extreme. You can put it up the inside, or maybe go around the outside. Depends what corner you're in. But I'm gonna have to talk about the track a little bit more when everything's on the downtime here. Yeah, I'm gonna look at the first corner. I mean, I've seen lots of league races here in Austria. Too wide doesn't necessarily work with these new cars. I mean, they're not I wouldn't say small enough, but the opposite of wide is thin. So they're not really thin enough to do that. I mean, last year it was perfectly fine to go too wide in the first corner. I mean, now you could possibly shove someone off the circuit. I mean, that may not be the end of the world, but you do have to realize if you run wide, there's those little yellow curbs on the outside. If you hit those, you have a good chance of spinning out and losing the back end. So again, you do have to keep in mind when trying to pass people here. Even in turns 1 and 2, they have those yellow curbing, so you can't exceed the track limits. Remember the S's. Remember, if you cut a little too much, your car can literally go airborne. Same at the corner before the straight. Once you get off of turn number 4, once you get off of Rush, if you run a little bit too wide, your car can literally go airborne and pick up some speed into the air as well and go into the gravel trap. So again, you have to be very careful around this track. There's a lot of things to worry about when racing here. So I mean, I would expect some passing here and there, but then again, I do feel like these drivers are gonna take their time again off the exit of turns 7 and 8. They're both little yellow curbing where you can hop over, and there's like a little indent off turn 8 where it goes up the hill. Again, these drivers have to be very cautious of the track limits. Do you think anyone can run into those problems today, Nick?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Running wide here and track extending, you've got those big yellow sausage curbs with some of them on the inside and some on the outside, so drivers need to be careful of that. Running on board with Odems, who's yet to set a time, so you have to say his first run wasn't enough for the steward's liking, and they must have invalidated it because he did complete a lap. Dan and himself, the only drivers yet to complete one. D90, 50 seconds off the pace, so you have to say he's abandoned whatever lap he crossed the line with. Just under 5 minutes now, 4.5 minutes to go in this session. It goes so quick here, but being such a short track enables them to get quite a few laps in compared to some of the other ones. So here we are, Odems is coming around the penultimate corner. Let's see exactly, let's enable his lap delta. We're looking for a 105 pole as D90 retires from the session, so he's 106 flat, so that puts Odems third. It is Williams of Beast House on the front row with the Mercedes behind. Then you've got the two Haas drivers, so it's all looking pretty close up there. Now top 11 covered by under a second, so I expect some of these positions to be exactly what they're not right now come the end of this session. So Clifford's Red gets a grid penalty for illegal blocking. It says 0 places, so not quite sure how that works. But Alan, what I like most about this track is, yeah, it's so flowing and so fast, but also if you want to line up an overtake, being straights, which are pretty much 4 in a row, that means you can line someone up rather than just do a dive bomb. So that's what we'll be looking for today. A lot of lining up into the braking of turn 2, and perhaps they'll give it a go into turn 3 or 4. We'll have to wait and see, but this is pretty exciting. Bisas improves his time. What can everyone else do?
I'm not sure if he improved his time. I mean, his time starting into the 105.8. I think that's really impressive enough. But I've really seen that time change. But I mean, he is out on the track, and that's what he's trying to do. Improve on his lap time. May even try and look into the 104s, maybe. But I don't think that's going to be possible for Beastaz. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, for Beastaz, he can literally do anything. You say, remember, I keep bringing this up, but remember Russia, like we said, we kept saying, oh, he's not going to have enough time to go back there. 1 second left, crosses line, sets the time, pole position. So you never know about Beastaz. I think he's actually going to try that right now. Go in quickly, go back out for one final time. He may have just enough time to get back. If he gets out of the pits around, less than a minute, then he's not going to make it. If he's around the 1 minute marker, he'll have a chance. So he has less than a minute to go back out on the track. He wants to set one more time at least. Or, I mean, at most, I mean. So a beast he has that in mind. Let's talk about the man in second place. It is, oh, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just had a look back. Bisas did improve his time, not even by a tenth though. They were separated by a tenth of a tenth, first and second, but he's just extended that on that previous lap. Just under a full tenth now, so that's a slight improvement for Bisas. But as you said, Alan, I talked about that lap in my column this week that you can find at the website www.f1tshub. I mentioned that was the greatest qualifying lap I've seen in real life or on a game, so congratulations to Bisas for that. But that's history for him now. He wants to build his championship hopes, and Dan the Bluebird, Alan, into third place now. That's pretty impressive for him as well. So as we just got Bisas and himself, Dan Bluebird, in the garage. They're going to have to come out fairly soon if they want to set a lap time. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty exciting close to the session.
I mean, that was really interesting. I'm sorry about that, but you know, I was looking at the time and I was like, who's this driver in third? I haven't seen him, but you know, impressive time that is 2/10 off the pole position leader of Beastaz, and with 40 seconds remaining, Beastaz is going for an outlap. Is he gonna, you know, pull something off? Because again, I think he'll most likely make it back. It's gonna be close between Beastaz. You know, you can never doubt the man in the Williams, Beastaz, as Sean goes to the fastest lap time, 1:05.7. That is by 100th of a second, meaning Beastaz is gonna have to quickly get around this track. 15 seconds remaining, 2 corners. I'm not sure if he's gonna have enough time though.
It's gonna be very close, Alan.
Oh, it's gonna be close. 7, 6, 5, 4, just enough time. 3 seconds crosses the line. He'll have one single lap to set pole position. Oh, I'm not sure what that was. Just cuts the corner. First time around. I'm not sure if that invalidated his lap. We'll see if he retires, and he does retire. And he will not be on the top today. So right now, Sean sits on the top. A couple other drivers remain to try and knock him down. His teammate MLA. There's also Sam. You have TS Odoms, who's on one final run. You also have SBL, and you have Robo in 13th, but SBL up to 5th place. And I'm stuck spectating McLaren. So as time counts down, looks like Odoms finishes his lap. He will not improve. So you still have Sam, MLA, and Robo, and that should be it. And it looks like Robo's in the pits, so we have 2 drivers left to set a time.
Here comes MLA in the Mercedes, Alan. What can he do? His teammate's on pole position. He's going to want to get closer than he is now. He crosses a line. It's pole position. He steals it from his teammate at the last second. Sam's the only driver who can change that. But my goodness, 0.8 of a second covering the top 11, and half a second covering the top 8. Cliffy, who started in pole in Baku, is in 8th place. This is amazing stuff, and MLA just showing you exactly why he's in this championship fight. What a lap from himself and his teammates, so close. And yeah, confirmation that Clifford's Red does get a 5-place grid penalty, so we get to see what that's for. But my goodness, 5, just over half a second covers the entire top 9. And Alan, that's why we love Austria.
Yeah, I mean, I love Austria. A personal experience I've had here at the track. Hold on very quickly. MLA, Sean, Beastaz, Dan the Bluebird, TS Odom, SBL, James Slater, Cliffy, Clifford, Sam, Matt, Jor, Robo, D90, and Dan. Yeah, like you said, Clifford with that 5 grid place penalty, but that's a rundown of the grid order here at this track. But yeah, I mean, Austria is a fantastic track. It flows very nicely, even last game, even this game, with the S's, you know, the extended, what you can do at this track. It's fantastic. I love the flow of it. I mean, a lot of stuff can happen. I remember last game, we were able to pit maybe 2-3 times. The strategy was so diverse. You know, the fastest car really never won. I remember someone who got pole position in a race I did. He didn't even lead any laps. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're the fastest car or not. Last game, it was just really about when you decide to pick your strategy and playing it smart, avoiding the incidents. This year, I'm not exactly sure, because every race I see these drivers doing the one-stops, and it dreads me. I mean, as a driver, you like that, and it's easier for you to understand. But, you know, at this standpoint, you do have to realize, as maybe a spectator or a fan of racing, you'd like to see more pit stops from these guys. But as we're gonna go to the formation lap, we'll do one more grid order rundown, as good time to do so. So MLA and his teammate Sean will consist on the front row for the first time this season, a 1-2 qualifying spectacle from these two in the flying silver arrows. Down in the second row, it is going to be Beastaz, and the rookie, the new kid on the block, is going to be Dan the Bird in first place in McLaren. The row consists of TS Odoms in the Haas and SBL, the other new driver, in the other McLaren. Again, a good spectacle from them in qualifying. I didn't expect that from them, but good times, and both of them will be inside the top 6. Down into the next row, the fourth row, is going to be James Slater and Cliffy, so both Haas's will be able to get into the top 10. Down into the fifth row, and the final row in the top 10 is going to be Sam and Matt, both Force Indias, 9th and 10th. Down in 11th place for the 6th row, it'll be Jor and Robo Sophie. So that'll be 11th and 12th. Now down for the 7th row will be D90 and Clifford. D90 may have had a couple problems in qualifying, maybe off too many times, but maybe 20 seconds off the qualifying, but that doesn't matter. Like we said, the fastest car doesn't always. We head to the final row, and the very last driver, Dan, stands alone in that final row. Did not set a time in qualifying. I'm not sure if it's a qualifying ban or not, but Dan did not set any time. So that brings us back to the front as they start to form up. Nick, do you have any predictions before we start this Austrian Grand Prix?
I wouldn't like to predict, Alan, because I wouldn't like to be wrong. But yeah, Mercedes front row, dominant performance from them. I say dominant because it's so difficult to pull that lap out the bag right when it matters, and that's exactly what they both did. Beasthouse obviously cut turn 1, and that invalidated his time. But yeah, Dan the Bluebird. Then you got the Haas of Odems. Mally in his first race at F1 TS Hub in 6th position. James Slater, he's been on good form, Alan, so keep an eye on him. Cliffy will be looking to move up. Then you got the 2 Force Indias. Just quickly, Matt in 10th down to 14th are all on the super soft tyres. So yeah, to 13th. So here we go, Alan, take it away.
5 red lights for the 9th round of this championship. Lights out and away we go. Season 10, round 9 of the Austrian Grand Prix. And we're green. And headed up into the first corner. A terrible start for Sean. He's already falling back. Makes a little bit of contact with the Williams. Runs wide. But all off and going is MLA against his teammate Sean. Fell back to 3rd. Dan the Bird is up to 4th place. And already headed up into the 2nd corner. One of my favorite corners after the start. 3 wide in the background. You can see with that Force India, there's some contact. And more 3 wide, there's a McLaren Honda. That's Dan the Bird falling back 3 wide. He's on the outside of that sticky situation, and he's getting bypassed left and right. He's already down to 8th place. So he may try and go around the outside. But again, some problems for the McLaren Honda driver on his debut here in Spielberg. Gonna ride on board with Dan the Bird. He's already down at 9th place after qualifying inside the top 6, I believe. And already locking up. He's finding it difficult. And speaking of difficult, it must have been really difficult for Dan to work his way through the field. He's already inside the top 10 after starting last. He's picked up many positions off the start, leading us back to the first lap here in Spielberg. You can already see Beast has in your mirror. If you're MLA, you're going to cross the line for the first lap. He'll lead it in the Mercedes. Fastest lap for MLA, a 1:11.1. So MLA right now leads for the time being. Sean trying to get by Beastaz, and it looks like Beastaz reeling in MLA. We may see a 3-car battle for the race lead.
This has been fantastic stuff, Alan. I feel like I need to give you a breath there because it's not just fantastic racing. It's been so clean. I haven't seen any incidents in terms of any damage or anything like that. I could be wrong, but it looks like it's been pretty clean. No yellow flags. No one appears to be spinning off. But yeah, wow, I'm pretty excited by this. And as you said, Dan, the big gainer from that, and the other Dan, the big loser from that. I did notice on the opening lap, both Haas drivers very aggressive down the inside of turn 3 and 4. They both dive bombed it, and they both pulled it off. So good position gains for them. As Mally is also up into 4th place. So well done to him. But this top 3, they're looking pretty feisty, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how this race plays out.
So we're going to come back to another lap. Hold on a second. 3-second time penalty for Sean. And not the best way he would have imagined the start of this Grand Prix. It looks like someone's into the pits. That is our rookie and driver of the McLaren. The other McLaren in the pits. SBL, not the best start to the Grand Prix. Sam is down in 15th, so I may have another mistake. But like you said, that there's no damage off the start. I think it was a drive through for SBL. And repairing the front wing, putting on new tires for Sam. So, yeah. Looking through, Sam puts on the soft tires. Everyone else inside the top 8. And hold on a second, there's a battle for the 8th position, like I said, is between Dan the Bird and Dan. The two Dans back and forth, side by side, down the straight for P7. And neither one of them giving up any space to each other. Around the outside, he's going to try the move, but tries to switch back. He's not going to be able to cover it. But in 8th place so far, Dan the Bird falling down like a rock. So we're going to move back up to the grid. And I just saw Sean, like a couple laps ago, he tried to get by B-Saz. And, B-Saz was just able to put on the block. And now he's on a charge to try and chase down that race leader, MLA. I mean, the Mercedes drivers have done fantastic so far this season. And, what a day it'd be for them to, try and put on, beat B-Saz today. I mean, B-Saz, so many wins this season, so many pulls. And it'd be something for the team to be able to pull off a victory against the Williams team, especially B-Saz in general. So really, these two drivers need to work together. MLA slowing down, the Williams driver just a bit to keep Sean right behind him, just in case if there's a problem with B-Saz. Maybe just force him into a mistake by driving too slowly, as now Dan, look at him go, already up to 6th place after starting last. Well, I wouldn't say last, I'm not sure about Clifford. Speaking about last, the driver in last place, Sam, 3-second penalty. So our second penalty handed out, which is time penalty wise. 4 laps into this Grand Prix. And I'm looking back with B-Saz on board. Looks like MLA missed the apex there in the S's. But again, like I was saying, if you're able to just control the pace at the lead, have a teammate working together, after, I wouldn't say collision, but they did come to contact earlier in the season. Another penalty, TSO'd him 3 seconds. 5 laps in, 3 drivers with time penalties. But like I said, if you're able to work with your teammate, you can ensure a good result. And now Sean, another penalty. 6 seconds as he gets a good run. Must have corner cut or something, because he's already on the back of B-Saz in no time. B-Saz going defensive to the inside, to the outside. It's going to be Sean. They wheel bang in turn 2. Locking up with Sean, and B-Saz still hangs on to that position. And now Sean's going to try and get by again down the straight DRS for not only Sean, but for B-Saz. Looking to the inside, back to the outside goes Sean. And around the outside, cannot do it. And it went from 3/10 to 6/10. B-Saz falling off of MLA. Do you think he can, find up that time and reel in MLA again?
I definitely both think they have the pace in them. It's just about managing at the moment. I think Sean is struggling following B-Saz in terms of corner cutting. He seems to be struggling not to extend or get his turning exactly right when following a car very closely behind. The reason he was on B-Saz was because he did indeed cut turn 1 that last time around, which saw him get the penalty. You've got the 2 Hasses behind, which seem to be just about hanging on to these guys about 2 seconds. They'll want to close with these guys battling. They won't want them to go too far ahead, so they need to start reading them in. Just quickly to mention Dan, what an absolute stunning drive from the back of the grid, like you said, Alan. And not only that, if you want to know how to overtake and defend around Austria, you only need to watch his race highlights after this one, because turn 2, turn 3, he doesn't care where, he'll get the job done. So fantastic racing for him. Sam, I believe, has made another pit stop for a set of super soft tires, and we're seeing now Sophie go through on D90 and Clifford's red, who's ran wide at the exit of turn 3. So I'm not sure if he got pushed wide or what happened there, but he's going to be recovering. You've got Mally down in 13th place. So let's have a quick look and see who has stopped. We can see that Sam is the only driver who has stopped twice, and he is currently 36 seconds behind his teammate who's in 14th place. So not a very good day for Force India, but seemingly swimming day for Mercedes at the moment. What can Sean do? He desperately wants to join his teammate with a clear view, but he's got that Williams driver. And just to let you know, Alan, last week B-Saz defended for 13 laps in Baku against Cliffy, and you know how hard it is to defend again in Baku, and against Cliffy. So fair play to B-Saz. He knows how to defend. As Joe gets a time penalty, I think Sean's got his work cut out here, and I think these 2 Haas drivers behind could be sitting pretty, but it's just a case of whether Cliffy's being held up now by his teammate. Then the Bluebird gets past James Slater, and they're going to drag race it down to turn 4. I do love this turn 4. Outside overtake on the inside outside, It's really something I enjoy, watching cars go side by side as James almost looks up and hits the back of the McLaren driver. But yeah, Dan Bluebird up to 7th place now after a poor start, like you said. But battles, and it's always a few seconds between someone. So Alan, we're in for another thriller by these Pinnacle boys and girl.
Yes, I mean, they've been putting on a show. I was just spectating Sean, and he lost the back end in turn 1, trying to chase down B-Saz, and now you can see that increased gap between the two. Sort of, you know, giving a breathing space between, between B-Saz and Sean. It's given really an opportunity to catch back up to MLA. It went from 6/10 to 2/10, so now he's just reeled him on in. So headed up the hill into the second corner. Oh, what happened? MLA runs wide, and into the lead goes B-Saz. And now it looks like he's getting passed by his teammate. That is Sean in his 2nd place. It didn't look like a lockup, just turning very, very late. And into the race lead goes a Williams driver of B-Saz. And for the time being, a lap number 8, B-Saz takes over the race lead for the first time today. A familiar place that is for the Williams driver. And, well, I'm not surprised by that, but I honestly thought he would have gotten by him, legitimately passing him, not by a mistake. But again, just force him into a mistake after having the pressure of the Williams driver, B-Saz, behind him. And it looks like for the first time today, B-Saz is into the race lead. And it looks like he's going to try and extend that gap. But quick question, all these drivers still in the ultra soft tires. It's out of 35 laps. We're coming to lap number 9. When do you think these drivers will be pitting?
I think you're looking at lap 11, 12, something like that. And then they can go onto the super soft tires or the soft tires. B-Saz goes wide there. He gets a poor exit. This is going to give Sean the run that he needs. They're going to go wheel to wheel. I'm excited to go. Oh, they just touch front against rear. They're proper squeezing each other. B-Saz goes back down the inside. Sean's going to do the cutback. He's going to get the traction. Will he have DRS? No, B-Saz has DRS. So they bang wheels again and again. This is right on the edge of exactly how you need to race. But fantastic stuff from these guys. They're showing us exactly how it's done. Sean now cuts in deep to stop B-Saz getting the undercut. But, sorry, not the undercut, the drive back. But now he goes deep. B-Saz looks down to the inside of the fast S's. I think Sean's got the worst tyre wear out of these three. But when you mentioned about pressure, Alan, that is exactly what happened to MLA. As B-Saz comes off, B-Saz spins it. He's in the gravel. Alan, he's in the gravel.
Oh, what a mistake from B-Saz. I mean, we just said a mistake from MLA, and B-Saz just got ahead of himself and made it even worse. And now Mercedes back into a 1-2 formation through 10 laps into this Grand Prix. And, well, I'm just going to say this. They have gotten very, very lucky. Sean is into the lead for the first time today, so 3 different leaders in the first 10 laps of this Grand Prix. Very good for them.
Amazing
Haas
stuff.
driver of Odom's up to 3rd. Again, the 2 Haas's 3rd and 4th. Dan is up to 5th after starting last. So again, crazy stuff from this Grand Prix. After, like I said, Dan lost many positions at the start. He's back up to 6th place. So fantastic stuff it is for Dan. So 10 laps in, and it looks like B-Saz already down into 12th place and pitting. And, well, I'm sort of shocked to see that. But 10 laps in is Sean against MLA. The gap remains at 1 second between the 2 drivers. And, well, I'm just going to have to say this. It's, you know, all team orders are off the table now. It's man versus man, these 2 drivers. I mean, the gap between, you know, because you see the Haas drivers, they're going to have to work together as well if they want any shot of winning. As Sam retires from the session, right front is gone in the final corner, gets lapped while doing so. So 11 laps in, Sean still leads. And first retirement of the day comes on lap 11 out of 36.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. He had made 2 pit stops prior to that point. His race is over now as he watches his rivals continue on behind him. I don't know if that'll be a safety car. We haven't had any message yet. Dan the Bluebird pits, so does Dan. So double Dan into the pits. They'll be fitting some super soft tires by the looks of it. B-Saz pitted after that incident. He had to go onto soft tires, I believe, to make it to the end of the race. So now you're going to see these Mercedes drivers try and extend their stint and hope that B-Saz get into a bit of trouble trying to pass these cars. But look at the Haas drivers as well. It looks to be like it's going to be a team battle today. Mercedes versus Mercedes, Haas versus Haas for these podium positions. Cliffy's so close to Odems. Then you've got Joel, who's all the way up into 5th place. He's doing a solid job today. Well done to him. Sophie and D90 are just behind. Mally's back up to 8th. And then you've got Danny's come out of the pits. Matt Bisas currently in 11th place. So yeah, he lost a lot of time through that, and he's going to be cursing his luck. I'm not just exactly sure what it was, whether it was just, you know, a little bit too much oversteer or caught the grass. It's so easy to do here. We saw it in the last race in the podium tier, and just shows you, Alan, this is what pressure is all about. You know, can you handle the pressure? MLA made a rare mistake, and he conceded 2 positions because of it. Bisas made a mistake, and he's all the way down 11th place. Let's see how this race pans out for all of these guys.
Yep, now after making a mistake in hitting Bisas' fastest lap time, I mean, for me it just showed up on the soft tires. He is back in 11th place out of the point, so he's going to be really charging through this field. And, you know, I wouldn't be too worried, but he may try and make it to the end on this race, knowing that the ultra softs can go 12 laps. Imagine how long the soft tires can go. Most likely till the end, and if these drivers are trying to go the one stop, is most likely, you know, Bisas may be able to get a good finish out of this. Maybe a top 5, but looks like slowing on down is MLA. He'll be going to the pits. So it looks like a string in the formation of pits goes Odems as well following. And looks to be, he'll be pitting. Cliffy pitted as well a lap earlier. Sean still leads. He'll be going out for 1 extra time. But MLA's into the pits. He will be fitting the soft tires. TS Odems, what will he put on into the pits? Into the pit stall he goes, and it says soft tires as well, and away he goes. A glitch on my screen, it says super soft tires, but Matt, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings in lap number 13. And looks like to be everyone just, a couple of drivers have pitted, but off the pits. It's a battle between Cliffy and Dan. Not Dan, my mistake. Cliffy and MLA up the hill. They go to the second corner. Cliffy was able to get by under the undercut, so Cliffy found a lot of time to make up, and now he's running right in front of MLA, who was running in second place. Imagine if Cliffy's able to get by Sean as well, knowing the fact that if Sean stays out there for too long in those ultra soft tires, it's not going to help him at all. Maybe there's a chance that Cliffy could take over the race lead and MLA could challenge him. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm going to ride on board with Sean. Sean's going to come to the pits. It's going to be a very close one between the two. He'll come to the entrance of the pits. And coming to there we go, 14th lap. Not even halfway in, but he will be putting on the super soft tires. No, hold on. It says soft tires. For a second it said super softs, but right on board with Cliffy. It's going to be very close between the two. Down the straight they go. Sean is at the very exit of the pits. Cliffy's nowhere close. Sean found a lot of time to that overcut. Away he is, and there's Robo on the outside. I go to stops. Robo has not made a stop yet, neither has D90, so Sean would take over the race lead. Second would be Cliffy. But remember, Sean has some of that traffic in front of him. He just got by both of them. So now it's going to be the advantage for Sean to try and create that gap as much as possible, as Cliffy has 2 cars in front of him.
Fantastic stuff, Alan. Some real undercut and overcut working there for different drivers. Sean doing the overcut. I thought he was going to lose a number of positions from staying out the latest, but he proved me wrong, and he currently leads this race. He cleared the traffic, and now he's got a gap of 2 cars behind Cliffy, who's looked to be challenging for this race win. He is just behind D90, of course, second and third, having yet to stop on those super soft tires. And then MLA, he lost a position through that to Cliffy. And you've got Dan, who's already pitted. I think he's on a 2-stop though, so watch out for him to be coming in again. Odems is behind, and then you've got Bisas, who's trying to catch up. I did see a move Bisas made on Matt, and I have to say, late move down the inside into turn 4. He made it stick, and what a brilliant driver he is on the brakes. So that was fantastic. James Slater is all over the back of Matt now. I'm riding on board with this one. As you mentioned earlier, Alan, side by side through turn 1 doesn't go. He needs to, oh, he tries it. It does go. They touch wheels, they bang. Now they're going to run all the way down to turn 3, I believe it is. The second heavy braking zone on the circuit. Matt's got the inside, James Slater's got the outside. Need to give each other room here. The Force India goes deep. The Renault scoots on by. Well done to James for that one. But Cliffy now up to 3rd position. MLA just behind. They're clearing these, trying to clear these guys. But Matt is right there. Matt is right there with them. Then you've got Odems. Look at the gaps. It's just all DRS, DRS, DRS. I can't wait until they battle for this lead, because Sean is absolutely played this strategy to perfection, and Cliffy is just going down the inside of his good friend Sophie.
Yes. So look back up towards the front. Robo's still out there, and he has a hefty amount of cars behind him. I can just name a couple off right off the bat. To the inside goes MLA. One of the cars trying to get by the Sauber, and there's his teammate. 2 cars, 1 corner, and there's TS Odoms just got held up by Robo. And back in 7th is Beasthaz as well. You can, I mean, even right on board with Beasthaz up the hill. There's Robo there, and there goes Odoms. Man, looking to the inside again. Look at that. I mean, Robo just falling off the pace again. You can see MLA got by Dan side by side down straight off turn 2, headed downhill to turn number 3. And, well, around the outside, trying to go is Dan. Contact his man, and he's been hit off. He's been hit off, and he's been falling down a couple positions. And into the top 5 goes Beasthaz once again as they make contact. Beasthaz losing the back end after an incident. And, well, now going through the S is still side by side, making more contacts. And, well, I have to say so, as well, they bang again, not too satisfied with each other. Beasthaz just lost a hefty amount of seconds if he wanted any shot of trying to catch up to the top 4. But again, Beasthaz just got himself into a situation. Sean still leads. Robo finally comes in as we're going to look at the time here. And, well, I'm going to look at the tires, and right now 3 seconds, almost 4, is Cliffy and Sean, the gap between them. MLA's third with Beasthaz getting his first penalty of the race. 4th place is TS Odoms. 5th place is Beasthaz. 6th is Dan. 7th is D90. 8th is Dan the Bluebird. 9th is James Slater. 10th is SBL. And that's going to round out your top 10, as it looks like Dan goes by Beasthaz. Heading once more. These two are not happy with each other at all. They keep banging left and right. Now heading downhill into turn number 3. So for the time being, and it looks like Beasthaz still ahead of Dan. And, well, a time penalty for Matt. But 17 laps in, these drivers are acting like it's a very last lap of this Grand Prix. Do you think it's very smart of them?
Well, they're battling hard, and Beasthaz, that cost him a little bit of front wing damage there. So that battle with Dan, as Dan gets completely out of shape, he's on the grass, just about keeps it together. D90 is going to go back past now, so Dan loses position, but that was very aggressive from Dan and Beasthaz. They got so close, as you mentioned, Alan. They kept banging wheels, and I'm surprised there's any colours left on the side of those Pirelli tyres, because they hit side by side so many times. Beasthaz eventually got through, but with wing damage. MLA is close still to Cliffy, but you have to say Sean doing a great job in the lead at the moment, and this could potentially be his first race win. I wouldn't want to curse anything, but he's definitely earned it. That overcut surely has worked a treat for him. We know he does have a couple penalties though, so will that come into play later on in the race? Great racing though all round from these guys. We've got D90 and Dan the Bluebird now about to battle. They're the closest on track. You've also got Dan the Bluebird just behind D90. Then you've got MLA within Cliffy's DRS. So those rear wings will be flapping open come this straights, and it'll be interesting to see whether there's going to be some nice battles inside outside. Let's find out exactly which is the way to go. We've got D90 defending against Dan the Bluebird. I don't think D90's pitted. No, D90 hasn't. So he's the only driver not to pit. Surely he's going to give up on these tyres soon. When he does, he'll go on to the ultra soft tyres and he'll be pushing like flat to the end. And he's due a good race. He needs this. So just want him to keep it clean, in my opinion, and just get a good solid result for that Ferrari team, who desperately needs something, as Dan the Bluebird gets past him into turn 1. Here we are then. Lap 19 out of 36, Alan. It's been a brilliant.
Yes, 19 laps out of 36 done, and going to ride on board with LA, because he's gotten pretty close to Cliffy. That gap is still less than a second, almost half a second. And look back at Odoms. He's a hefty ways behind. Beasthaz still trying to reel in Odoms again after being caught up with incidents with Dan. I mean, Dan was on the faster tire, but was not the faster driver. So really trying to work his way through the problems. But again, Dan started last. Beasthaz spun, so both of them were trying to, go on recovery mode. They just collided into the same, problem that they were stuck in. But Sean will cross the line for lap number 20 out of 36. He still leads by around 5 seconds. So that gap is, starting to increase. And it looks like to be an easy win for Sean, as his teammate MLA is starting to pressure Cliffy down the straight off the first corner, headed uphill, they go into the second corner. It's going to be close between the two. Once they get close enough to each other, maybe down the straight off turn number 2, it could be the opportunity they've been waiting for. So off the second corner, missing the apex just a little bit is MLA, but down the straight, DRS enabled, and down the straight they go, and MLA getting ever so closely to Cliffy. And, you know, this is going to help Mercedes a lot. Once you get that second car of Mercedes into second place, you pretty much confirm the win. So let's just say an incident happens for the race leader, he's able, you know, second driver's able to take it over. But the gap is around 3/10, 4/10, and MLA's just stuck in that position. When do you think, you know, he'll be able to get by?
I'm not too sure. He's perhaps looking after his tyres, needs to pick an opportunity. I do find that on this track, if you can't get past someone, it's better to put the pressure on them. We've seen mistakes made in the previous tier at 7 PM, and we've seen mistakes made here. So I'm sure it'll be difficult to keep him behind for the rest of this race. But Alan, I can tell when you're commentating that you're really enjoying this one, aren't you?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, just to see that, you know, Austria is a fantastic track. It's a driver I just love driving to the S's. I mean, this track flows so well, and even watching it, I enjoy it. Hold on a second, up to the inside goes MLA. They bang for P2. Mercedes 1-2. That was almost like 2016, the two Mercedes. This time it's a Haas and a Mercedes. Will he try and let him back by? That's the right thing to do. There you go. Lets him back by. I think he was just desperate for move. He tried, hoping that he wouldn't turn in, but he did, so he just might as well give back the position. So that was very close. MLA, sportsman-like thing to do, lets him back by. No damage done to either cars. Maybe, you know, some scratches on the side pod. But going through the S's, and it seems to be that he'll have to try a second time to get by. So we're going to come to lap number 22 out of 36. And it looks like things are just going to get a lot better between the two. I mean, the more they do that, you know, the more that Sean pulls away. I keep saying this, and the more that Odoms is able to reel him in, because the gap is now almost 7.5 seconds. And going defensive is Cliffy, maybe to the outside, but he blocks under braking up into turn number 1, hops over the curb, and headed uphill they go again. Odoms, 3-second penalty, while trying to reel in the two battling of Cliffy and MLA. Up the hill they go into the second corner. Going defensive is Cliffy, maybe switching to the inside this time. Can it work? Makes contact again. A broken end plate this time for Cliffy. This time he's going to get by. Will he let him by again? On board with Cliffy. I'm not sure if he's going to let him by. And hold on. No,
he needs to be careful if he does.
Cliffy lets by. That Cliffy lets by Odoms. Now it's going to be between Odoms and MLA. Remember, Odoms has a time penalty. MLA does not. So MLA does have that advantage if they finish where they are right now at the same time. Looking to the inside, trying to put the nose there, losing the back end. There goes Odoms. He spins Cliffy back to third. He couldn't even last 30 seconds in the spotlight. He's already barely inside the top 5. A terrible mistake it is. And Dan trying to get by as well. You can see him right behind if you're on board with the Odoms. Another mistake. So right now it looks like Cliffy's going to go into the pits, repair his end plate, and both Haas's strike disaster on lap number 23.
Oh, we've got an incident now between Dan and Odoms. That was messy. Odoms is spinning. It's just not an overtake and not a place to overtake the last corner. That is clumsy, clumsy, clumsy. There's no other word to describe it. I feel sorry for Odoms, you know, but then again, Dan, he had to take that opportunity. I do kind of feel like Odoms' tyres were covered in grass, and this is a track, Alan, where if you get on the grass with your tyres, it really affects the car through those high-speed corners. So, I mean, Dan went for it. Maybe he shouldn't have, but it is what it is now. I'm sure they'll be visiting the steward's office with that one afterwards. Dan v Dan now for 4th and 5th. These two really like each other today, so I'm sure they'll be having a coffee after this one if they can keep it clean. They've had some magnificent passes and defense against each other. Meanwhile, because of all that with the two Haases, which you have to say their race crumbled literally like their front wings, Bisas is up into 3rd, so he is now 3.6 seconds behind MLA in 2nd. So Sean's still leading this race by 9.6. He has definitely got a good shout of winning this. Only 12 laps to go, and it has to be said that he's done an exceptional job today. I'm really impressed with Sean's mature driving, and if he can keep that gap, his penalties after they get taken away will mean that he doesn't lose a position. But we'll just keep a close eye on that. Yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. Is it Matt Ajor? We're seeing the Red Bull going slowly, so perhaps he's taken a trip to the grass. He's got half a front wing missing, so the Red Bull mechanics might be busy in just a second. Yeah, he looks like he's coming 14th. It's been a quiet race from him. Not the best result that he'd be hoping for at Austria. Bud and Dan, these two are they must really like each other tonight.
Yes, I mean, they've been doing a pretty good job. I mean, Dan the Bluebird and Dan, I mean, those two have been battling back and forth. They've both been on a recovery drive. Dan starting dead last. Let's say at the end of this Grand Prix ends up getting a podium. That'd be flawless for him. I mean, starting dead last, now up to 4th place. So I put on what is it? Positions they picked up. 11 positions gained. Everyone else is either around 1 or 2, either in the red or the green. And then you have Dan, 11, green, picking up 11 positions in 25 laps. Really impressive. That's maybe, let's say, 1 position every 2 to 3 laps. Mathematically, that is fantastic stuff from Dan. You know, that is, you don't see that every day from drivers. Cliffy picks up the fastest lap time. Now back to James Slater, a 1:08.3. So again, something that surprises me. It seems like every time, you know, a driver's able to, you know, actually beat the race lap record on the track, on the game. This time, they're a second off of Hamilton's time. He set a 1:07 here this year, technically this year, in his Mercedes, around a 1:07 roughly. And no, never mind. Clifford 1:07.9. That's still not close enough to Hamilton's time. It's a 1:07.4, I believe, a 1:07.4.11. That Hamilton's set here as a fastest lap time record. And, you know, these drivers don't really come close to it. It surprises me because every single race that I've seen so far this season, a driver just absolutely crushes the race lap record time that someone has set here in the past. So, hold on a second. Dan the Bluebird, into the pits in the orange car. 26 out of 36 laps in. And it looks like he'll go for one final stint. And it looks like he will be putting on the ultra soft tires, is it? For me, it says ultra soft tires. Yes, it is. He'll go for one final late race push to see how many positions he can crank out of that McLaren Honda. So, 11 laps to go. You can see a battle behind between Robo and D90. D90 up to the inside, picking up that final point position, and still leading by 10.5 seconds. You go up to the 2 Mercedes. 1-2. Beast has in 3rd, 4th is Dan, 5th is SBL, 6th is TS Odoms, 7th is Cliffy, 8th is James, 9th is Dan the Bluebird, 10th is D90.
Yeah, this has been fantastic stuff, racing throughout the whole 27 laps so far. I'm sure we've got more to come. Just to mention, Alan, that Sean has been extending his lead over MLA, his teammate. MLA has been extending his lead over Bisas, who was the first to pit of the remaining drivers still running. Then you've got Dan, who I believe is going to stop again. I believe Dan is yet to make his second and final pit stop. So yeah, he comes into the pits now. This will drop him down the order. Mally up into 4th position, his first race of F1 TS Hub, and an absolute solid drive from him. He was a little bit quiet in the pre-race interviews with his answers, but he's showing his talking is done on track at F1 TS Hub. Odems and Cliffy in 5th and 6th. Alan, what did you make of their incidents and what happened with the Mercedes drivers? Because it was quite hard to tell exactly how much room was left. MLA handed the position back the first time, but he didn't hand back the second time. Now, to me, the first incident looked less like a shove than the second one, perhaps. But both times Cliffy left the door open, and I was thinking that when Cliffy let Odems through, perhaps he thought MLA would let Cliffy through. So perhaps he thought he'd have to let his teammate through as well. I don't know. A theory there for you that I thought at the time, and it's still playing on my mind. So whether it's true or not, I don't know, but these Haas drivers, Cliffy having to make an extra stop, and Odems still on those soft tyres as Bisas gets another penalty. It hasn't worked out for them. It looked to be such a promising race, but Sean continued to extend his gap. Closest battle is Sophie and D90 for 10th and 11th place.
So 28 out of 36 laps, 9 laps to go, and going through the field, it looks like everyone is finally, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they're finally in a stable position where there's no cars around them, and it doesn't look like they can get into any issues. But Dan, 3-second time penalty, so 9 laps to go, coming to 8 laps to go. Sean is still leading on the soft tires. The top 5 drivers are in the yellow wall tires, and well, looks to be that firmly set in a position where they cannot be taken out of it, though that is a commentator's curse. That can change at any time, and it probably will. But for the time being, everyone in the field looks to be running at a stable position. And now, you know, I have to ask you, how do you think the race has gone? I mean, speaking about the further incident earlier, a couple laps ago with MLA and in the Haas drivers, you know, the first one, it honestly looked like Cliffy just turned in way too early. I was riding under MLA. You could just see him turn in too early. The second time he left the door, turned in very late because he knew that MLA was going to do it again. He just gets hit off. I mean, I don't blame MLA, but at the same time, I feel bad for Cliffy. Because, I mean, it's hard to pass people in this game. I don't feel bad for MLA. Like, I shouldn't, because you can't blame someone for trying to pass them, because it's so hard to do it in this game because of Codemasters. And to see these drivers struggle, you know, to put on racing, it crushes my heart, I'll be completely honest. But, I mean, they've done their best to put on a show. We definitely appreciate that up in the booth. And, you know, they never disappointed. I think that's what matters here. But a time penalty for Matt, I believe. I'm not sure, but now Clifford, 3-second time penalty. But yeah, like we further said, it was basically just a racing incident. And second time, he saw that there was 2 Haas's behind him. I think he just decided that you know, he was deciding to just, you know, not give him the position, because basically let one by, you're gonna let the other one by because you lose momentum into turn number 3. So most likely MLA was just gonna stay there, and just because of that, Mercedes guys are running 1-2-30 out of 36, 7 laps to go.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it is harder to overtake on this game with these cards. But I have to say that I've been entertained both in this race and the previous race from the podium boys. It's been fantastic racing from both tiers, and just shows you what F1 TS Hub is all about. Cliffy closes in on his teammate, who gets another penalty. Of course, Cliffy making that extra stop. Dan the Bluebird, I'm going to watch him because he's pitted for fresh tyres, as has the other Dan. So I expect those two to come into play at the end of the race when they're pushing. What's going to happen here? Odem's just he doesn't fight that. Cliffy goes through on the quicker tyre. Will he be able to catch Mally? I don't think he can close that 7-second gap within the 5 or 6 laps remaining. And I do think that Sean has put in such a solid performance today, and I'm so impressed with his driving. And yes, Jonas on the feed shouting out to Alan is back. Alan is indeed back today with us. He's feeling better, so he is back for the Pinnacle tier at 9 PM. Alan, we'll just quickly run through with us, if you're watching and you like and you want to follow us on Twitter, what you need to do.
Basically, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at F1TSHub, our website, f1tshub.com. Again, if you want to be involved, you can either comment down below in the live stream, or just basically be involved with us, chat with us. It's, you know, we love talking with you guys. It's fantastic, you know, fantastic racing, fantastic community. If you want to join us, again, merchandise on the website, even then you can become a member. A whole lot of stuff. It is fantastic with F1TSHub. So, if you're just getting it now and want to know how the race rundown has been, starting on the pole position, I believe it was MLA in the Mercedes, but was transferred over to his teammate after a couple incidents. Pisas was into a little problem in the beginning of the middle of the Grand Prix, spun out, and now a couple laps ago, he's worked his way back from the 3rd position. You know, a definite candidate for driver of the day. You have Dan started in dead last. Ray actually ran up to 4th place at one point, but had to pit. He put too much pressure on his tires, had to pit one final time on the ultra soft tires. Thing is, his strategy didn't really work because 2 other drivers have done the exact same thing as him. And, you know, Dan has one driver in front of him, the other Dan, that has done the exact same thing as him. So really, the idea to try and push through the field for a late race stint, it's not going to work for him because you have one other driver in front of you that is doing the exact same thing. So Dan put himself in a situation that he shouldn't have been. Instead of trying to go fast and, you know, trying to, you know, be the fastest one, like I said in the beginning of the Grand Prix, it's not about being the fastest one, it's about driving the smartest. And today, Dan didn't really drive the smartest. He could have gotten one less stint and probably a top 5 finish. But therefore, for showing his speed, he's down in 9th place. But for the meantime, the gap is 12.5 seconds between Sean and MLA. It's coming to lap 33 out of 36, 4 laps to go. Sean is trying to go to another victory this season with his team, Mercedes, and another win for the Silver Arrows.
Yeah, this is getting a good battle for 6th position now. Odem's on the 1 stop is being chased by James, and Dan the Bluebird on a 2 stop So they're all closing in on the Haas driver, who hasn't had the result he was hoping for today. He's now going to have his mirrors filled for the last 3 laps of this race, and it'll be interesting to see whether those guys can get past. If you're just joining us, this has been an exciting one. I believe this is actually Sean's first win at F1 TS Hub, so if he continues the way he is, he will win this race at round 9 Austria in Spielberg, right in the middle of the forest at the Red Bull Ring. Here comes Dan the Blue Blood lining up James Slater. He's also going to get DRS from Odem, so DRS isn't going to have as much effect as it would normally, but yeah, this is definitely going to be exciting. Here it goes. Odems is getting defensive. He feels the need to defend against these guys. Such older tyres. I got a feeling this is only a matter of time before it happens, which is unfortunate for the Haas driver, but 2-stop versus the 1-stop with an incident. Here we go. The Renault of James Slater needs to be careful not to let Dan the Bluebird through whilst trying an overtake, because as you've mentioned, Alan, it is difficult to pass here. Just quickly, I'd like to point out to Mally, who's currently in 4th place. I believe BSAS has 2 or 3 second penalties, and the gap now is 9.4. So if the latter is true and he has 3 seconds in penalties, I don't believe Mally has any. Mally could score a podium on his first race at F1 TS Hub, which would be a pretty good achievement. Cliffy is closing that gap, but it's not going to be enough. This is the main battle. 6th, 7th and 8th.
Yes, we're going to head up into the first corner now. I'm still riding on board with James Slater right in back of TS Odoms. And, well, again, it's not necessarily the track that it's hard to pass people. It's not the track at all. Actually, I think it's one of the easiest places to pass on this calendar with these cars. But it's basically just the game, or the engine itself. We're not talking about the engine. I'm not talking about the car engine. I'm talking about the game engine that it runs on. It's hard to pass people. It's designed to be this way. It's challenging to pass people. And with 2 laps to go, anything's going to be on the table for these drivers. Pushing on the ultra soft tires is James Slater, trying to find a way around Odoms. And again, he's going to be very desperate, knowing that he's right behind a driver who possesses more points than he does, sitting in 7th. He's going to really be feisty and trying to get by with just 1 final lap to go. Speaking about 1 final lap to go, the man leading the charge to that will be Sean. He's on the back straight right now. He's coming to the final lap this time by. And, you know, it's a good Grand Prix for Sean. Like you said, it's going to be his first one. I confused him with MLA for a second, because both those guys usually run up in the front, so either one. But I know MLA has a win this season. Phenomenal job. Now it's going to be both drivers on the team are going to get a win. And, you know, for the Silver Arrow squad, a 1-2 finish. Not bad at all. I'm going to have to say it, not bad at all. I mean, it could be worse. It could be another B-Stats win, but a 1-2 finish. They didn't necessarily get there the easy route. But as they come to the final corner, for the penultimate time, Sean will come through for the final lap today in Austria. And like we said, he hasn't taken the easy route. But, you know, you've got Mercedes in a 1-2 position for the first time this season. Might as well just take it, you know, once you're in that position, just run. Because, you know, problems can occur. And for the Mercedes team, they've done a wonderful job today on possessing and showing that they have this, not only the speed, but they also have the brains on when to pit, when not to pit, on what to do. But as time goes on, we're on the final lap now. Sean ahead of MLA by 13 full seconds. A little more than that. And, again, like we said, we've always seen MLA, I wouldn't say outperforming, but half the time, you know, ahead of Sean. And it's nice to see that finally Sean is ahead of his teammate and, you know, putting up the pace and doubling the standard, as now it looks like to be Dan the Bird, a 3-second penalty. But as you head in the final 2 corners, it'll be Sean and MLA scoring a 1-2 finish, with the one on top today for the first time this season. It'll be Sean. A victory comes in Spielberg for the Mercedes driver. Takes victory here in Spielberg. His teammate's going to finish second, and it's going to be a 1-2 finish for the Silver Arrows. You can hear Toto Wolff in the background. No, you can't, but I'm just going to say that. Toto Wolff very happy with a 1-2 for Mercedes. And yeah, I guess you could say a 1-2-3, because a Mercedes-powered car of Beastaz in 3rd. Going to come on through. He's going to score a 3rd-place finish across the line. And penalties keep them at bay. That'll be a 1-2-3 finish with Mercedes components, as a McLaren Honda will cross the line in 4th place. Will he get promoted? We will see across the line. No, he will not. He did, however, improve with the time, but was not able to get by.
Yeah, Alan, fantastic performance from Sean. This is the first time Mercedes won 2 since season 8 in Singapore, I believe. So there you have it, a bit of fact in history. They lined up on the front row for the first time since season 9 in America. So there you are, a bit of statistics for my old team, and a fantastic performance from Sean. We did say MLA get in second place. I can't talk now. And Odims did fend off those 2 guys who 2-stopped. And it'll be interesting to see what penalties do to these results, but take nothing away from today's race, because it's been fantastic driving from all of these guys, and they should all be very proud of their performance. And I'm sure there'll be a few incidents in the steward's office, which will be open after the race, but I'm sure the stewards will be ready to deal with anything thrown their way. Champagne all over that Mercedes. It's a winner here in Austria, Alan. Amazing stuff. And Driver of the Day vote, when it goes up live on Twitter tomorrow, I know who I'm going to be voting for, the man on the top step.
Yeah, again, they put on a fantastic show today. Really impressed from what everyone has done today. Fantastic pace, but again, we could say Sean, we could put up that argument. You could say maybe Beast has recovering from a spin. You could basically say anyone. But you could also say maybe Dan, 15th up to 8th. He also had a bunch of penalties. But again, if anyone would be driver of the day, you know, again, it's hard to debate whether on who gets it. It's actually really tough. You could say MLA for not getting any penalties, but other than that, I mean, a lot of people are deserving today, which is very rare in F1 TSL. But that's gonna do it. On the top today is Sean, 2nd MLA, 3rd Beast has, 4th SBL, 5th is Pliffy, 6th is James Slater, 7th is Dan the Bluebird, 8th is Dan, 9th is TS Odoms, 10th is Robo Sophie, 11th is D90, 12th is Clifford's Red, 13th Matt, 14th Jor, 15th, that will be Sergio Cruz. No, that is going to be
Sam, that'll be.
Don't tell me, yeah, I was Sam.
Sorry. Spoil it.
Of course, India. It started with an S. So that'll be it for the Austrian Grand Prix. My name is Alan Cavagner. I'm alongside Nick. We will see you next weekend for the British Grand Prix, a home for many of the drivers on the grid. It's going to be a good one at Silverstone.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. 7 p.m. for the podium tier, 9 p.m. for these guys and girl in the Pinnacle tier. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Alan, for commentating again. And yeah, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week.